want to talk about grief and gratitude and our own individual greatness. I don't watch very much news, and I certainly don't on purpose read the newspaper because I found out that the more I watched that, the less I felt positive. So if I am extremely interested in something, I'll go seek that data. By and large, I don't let the mainstream media or any media for that matter program me. But this morning I had a client and he brought to me something that really hit me home, hit home to me. They had one of the first responders at the tragedy in Miami found his own daughter's body in the rubble. I teach a lot on gratitude. It's hard to find gratitude in that situation. All you can think of is the father's grief and the pain and the loss, the suffering. What would have put him there in the first place? Why would you want to go search the building for what probably would be your daughter's body? I don't know. Honestly, I don't have kids. Austin, I know you've got some youngins. It's an unbelievable tragedy what happened, and I can't wrap my mind around it. I've only had this data for a couple of hours. I once had a client give me a similar situation about grief and gratitude. He said, if my kid got run over by a school bus while I was here in session with you today, tell me how I could be grateful for that. And I flippantly said, we can be grateful that you didn't have to witness it. You can be grateful that you and your wife could become closer through this tragedy. You can be grateful that there'll be some monetary reimbursement. But for some reason, because that was a what if scenario, it was easier for me to wrap my head around how to make that a gratitude moment for my client. This guy in Miami wasn't hypothetical. To be a first responder, period, is an amazing gift. Thank you all, first responders. But to know going into that situation what you're looking for, and the person you've raised to their mid-20s, and it's a lot. So I wanted to sit down today and really contemplate what grief looks like and how we can find gratitude in it. I'd like to hear some of the gratitude you can find in your grief. We've all been through some shit. I am not above reproach. Just because I teach does not mean I have not been a student. Just because I help others does not mean that I don't need help. It's okay to need help. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help people find their path. But what's the way that we can find gratitude in the fact that we're still breathing when others aren't? The fact that life isn't fair. Because there is gratitude in it. Because you're still here and you can still have a better day tomorrow than you did today. Keeping that positive optimism going is very difficult, even for Captain Positive. I don't want to keep today very, very long because I want it to be an empty space for people to ponder. Where in your life have you only seen the negative? Where in your life could we look for the positive? And when things are the darkest, when we most need the light, who do we have in our tribe to lift us up? I don't care if it's me or anybody I work with or anybody I know, but I want everybody who's watching this to make a list of 5 people, at least 3. But I want you to have a support structure. I want you to have a group. I want you to have a people. I want you to have a crew, a clan, a club, just a place where you can go and not be alone. Connection is our number one human need. How we get it is up to us. You can find it at the bottom of a bottle, or you can find it in a pew, or you can find it in nature, or you can find it inside yourself. I know some people who are watching this have been on the other end of that phone call from me. A lot of us who watch these, and we're all kind of in the same family, but we're all coaches to some degree, whether it be our kids' little league or our wife or ourselves or any number of people. Where can you look to a coach for some help? Where can you have a friend of yours text you or call you and say, hey, wouldn't it be better if you called everybody personally and gave them the panda touch? When the going gets tough, the tough get going. But I'd rather switch that around. When the going gets tough, the tough work through it.
When it comes to grief and pain, it feels like often that people feel so alone in that pain that they kind of want to validate this with other people, but nobody can understand you, right? To a degree that if it's your personal pain, if your personal loss. So how do you get away from that needing of validation? Because I think part of it is just like you're constantly sitting in the pain and looking for people to understand you and looking for people to commiserate, but it's never the same. And you kind of feel alone in that.
That's an interesting question. I see it from both sides. I see the person in pain wanting to be commiserated with and to be sat with. But I found a lot of the people I've worked with in particular have reached out for help And the person who's been reached out to does kind of a poor job of being there. Actually, this morning I had a client who came in to have some documents notarized. His father just passed away. And instead of saying, "Oh, I know you've gone through, I lost my dad 20 years ago," I wanted to sit with him and say, "I can't imagine what that feels like. Would you like to tell me more about that?" If you tell someone how they feel, "I know how this feels." No, you don't. It wasn't your dad. No, you don't. It wasn't your mom or your sister, your brother, or whatever. I like interrogative questioning and really pulling people into my conversations. We all seek to be heard. We all seek to connect. And if I tell you how you feel or how that feels, or then the person who needs to be connected with or wants to be connected with is kind of pushed away, honestly, in my opinion. I really, really prefer, and I think my clients and my friends and my family have preferred the tell me more about that mentality versus the I understand that mentality. Seek first to understand before you seek to be understood. Everybody's different. We think differently, we act differently, we feel differently. And if I presume to know your pain, I've kind of robbed you of your journey. For me personally, the pain of grief is unique, and I want to honor it with each and every person that I get the opportunity to sit with. Being a psychologist, a big fan of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's work, 5 Stages of Grief. I like to give people kind of think about a buffet and say, these are some tools that some people I've worked with previously have used. What do you think about some of these for you? Because I want to question people so I can get a feel for them when someone finds themselves in a grief or depression or a less than ideal emotional state. I don't tell them what to do. I give them some great options, and as they tell me what appeals to them, I will pull from a cadre of resources that I've developed over the decades I've been doing this, so that I can give them tools that fit their style. As people get into the field of coaching, therapy, counseling, they're kind of formulaic, and that's great. Everybody started with a formula. I know I did back in the good old days of me being in the suit and tie and me being a completely different person. But as I've become more eclectic in my methodology, I've been able to really, really pour into being able to cherry pick specific things for specific people so that I'm not a one size fits all kind of guy. The most important thing you can do as a friend or a caregiver or a professional is be there with your person. It's called unconditional positive regard or therapeutic rapport or being a good listener, being a good friend. We're very, very rarely present. And we're living in fear of the past, or memory of the past, regret of the past, or fear of the future, depression, anxiety. Well, where's now? And if you can get someone who's in grief to snap into the now. I know this hurts now. Tell me more about now. Has it always been like this? No. Okay. Do you think you can see a time when it won't be like this again? But notice how I get that at the very end, not at the beginning. Because if I tell somebody, in 6 months you're not going to remember this, it's like, damn, what have I done? I've made everything so much worse. And that's what I want for everybody going through grief, is to understand that facts are facts and pain is pain, but suffering is optional. Part of my personal mantra is growth is pain and repetition is mastery. The pain part of growth tells me I'm growing. The repetition part tells me I'm becoming masterful. Be present in the grief, allow it, honor it, know it's there, sit with it, and then as you're ready, move on. Easier said than done for the firefighter or first responder in Miami, because today is probably the worst day of his life. And we have to remember there will be more bad days, but there will be more good days than bad, because you get to wake up. It's been said that 90% of the people in the world don't care about your problems, and the other 10% are glad they're your problems, not theirs. Sit in it, grieve over it, cry over it, stomp your feet, get mad, but move on. Because life is a series of evolution and growth. An accountability partner, a coach, an expert, whether it be real estate, psychology, law, medicine, whatever. Every person who's worth a damn gets coached. I think Michael Jordan had 5 coaches. So with grief, find a counselor. Find someone who can be in your corner. But most importantly, find yourself in the presence of the present. But don't get caught up in that this is forever, because nothing is. This too shall pass.
Jason, I do got one. I'm not a very emotional person naturally. I don't believe I can identify my grief. How can someone like me start to peel back the onions, the layers of the onion, to find where the grief is and address it and deal with it? Because I believe there. I just don't wear it, feel it, or see it as much as maybe other people.
Let me start with your onion analogy because I love it. You don't want to peel back the onion. You want to cut that thing in half. You want the fast track. You want it right now, and you want it to be perfect, and you will not settle for anything less. If you've ever really peeled an onion, you know that you've got the flaky kind of skin, and you've got that little membrane, and you've got the meat of the onion, but in between every layer is multiple stratus of layer. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Concentrate on slowing down and developing your own pace and being thankful and grateful for that pace instead of judgmental. And I say judgmental because you mentioned I don't feel, and then like a normal person. If you think there's a normal person out there, I got really good news for you. You're that person. Everyone has baggage. Everyone has limiting self-beliefs. Everyone wants to be more normal, but that is normal. I love Toyota's 5 whys. Not Toyota, the car manufacturer, Toyota, the textile manufacturer, before they became Toyota, the car manufacturer, has had a series of 5 whys. You go 5 whys deep. So asking yourself, why am I trying to measure up to normal? Why do I not feel like I have these emotions? What? And going 5 layers deep on each of those, I think you would find a lot more answers by asking questions instead of passing judgment, and by sitting with it instead of trying to get through it. Men notoriously are fixers, which is a problem when it comes to emotions, because emotions aren't broken. Emotions are us. Men want to fix the shit. Women want to sit in the shit. So Austin, and everyone really, slow down, sit in the shit. Be there with it. I actually was doing some contemplative thinking in my personal thinking time the other day about who's wronged me and forgiving them. And something came up to me that was kind of apropos. Well, the person who abused me, right? But then what about the people I hurt? And then what about the people they hurt and they hurt and they hurt and they hurt? Forgiveness is a two-way street. I have to forgive myself for hurting other people. I also have to forgive myself and the people who hurt me. Forgiveness of being a victim. I know I've wronged plenty of people, and I'm sorry for that. And I know plenty of people have wronged me, and I forgive all of them. The only way to get through life is grace, gratitude, forgiveness, love. Finding that is actually the key to happiness. Definitions, contribution, love, and growth. How have you grown today? How will you grow tomorrow? Who will you forgive today? And who will forgive you today? Maybe if we woke up and asked those questions every day, we'd have a much different outlook, a much different planet, and a much less negative and inflammatory society. With that, I will say, I love you all. Have a beautiful afternoon. Thanks. Bye.